Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm one of the clinical psych registrars here at Prosper, and this month the team at Prosper would like to give some information and our tips and strategies around trauma. It's an area that I personally am really passionate about working in, and so what I want to do today is just have a little bit of a chat about the impact of trauma. Now, the first thing to recognise is there's no set rules, there's no structure to how trauma impacts a person. Trauma is the psychological, the emotional, the physical impact that somebody experiences as a result of an event which their emotional coping or psychological coping skills are kind of overwhelmed with, and they're not adequate to really cope. So trauma affects everyone in very different ways, and I guess the first thing to know is that it can be really short-lived. So it could be like an acute stress disorder where it's kind of really sudden, it's really strong onset, but as time goes on, that impact kind of dissipates. Or it can be more long-lasting, more like a post-traumatic stress disorder, which is how that impact lasts more than about 6 months. Okay. And I guess it's really important to know that there's the impact can be psychological, it can be emotional, and it can be physical. So we will actually work with some of those physical symptoms as well. Okay. For some people, the onset of those symptoms is straight away. They start feeling that sadness, that fear, immediately after the traumatic event. And for other people, it's more down the track. So it could be a delayed onset. That doesn't mean it's not related to that traumatic event. It just means that the body has taken a little bit of time to get used to it. Okay. So some of the early response symptoms that we would be looking for that might suggest trauma would be confusion, sadness, anxiety, fear. Somebody might experience agitation or anger. They might kind of detach socially or with work, school, that kind of thing. There might be some denial, embarrassment, guilt or shame. A person might feel helpless or hopeless. They might feel a loss of control over their life. We know that one of the big symptoms for trauma is nightmares and flashbacks, I guess that re-experiencing of that traumatic event. Physically, somebody might experience nausea, some kind of stomach, gastrointestinal difficulties, dizziness, headaches, changes to sleep or appetite, so they might be more hungry or less hungry. And I guess we know that hypervigilance is a big thing, so they might feel easily startled. Some of the more delayed symptoms we might notice could be mood swings, irritability, feeling really vulnerable in different situations, especially ones related to that traumatic event. Someone might be really fatigued or really constantly tired. They might experience a grief, some sort of loss that they experienced during that traumatic event. Often we know that the person fears that traumatic event happening again, and that's kind of where that hypervigilance and being really aware of what's happening around. I guess I would describe that as our alarm system, just being constantly switched on. We might notice an emotional detachment, so somebody's not really in tune with their emotions, or emotional dysregulation, so these sudden big outbursts of emotion. There might be a lot of self-blame or guilt around the traumatic event, preoccupation with that traumatic event, so it's something that's really on that person's mind quite often. We might notice difficulties problem solving or decision making, whether that's school or work or in relationships. Long term, there might be more symptoms of depression, of anxiety, of obsessive and compulsive symptoms. There might be a complete dissociation or derealization where the person's not really in tune with, I guess, themselves or reality in the environment. They might start to avoid situations, thoughts, feelings related to that trauma. And the things to really be aware of: substance use, cardiac problems, gastrointestinal problems that could become long lasting and really have quite a strong physical impact. So if any of these symptoms kind of fit yourself and you've experienced a traumatic event, or you know somebody who might be showing some of these sort of symptoms, it's really important to seek help early. These symptoms can be managed with the right kind of help. So please, please, please do reach out. We have lots of psychologists here at Prosper who love working in the field of trauma, love helping people, and would be more than willing for you to reach out and ask them some questions. Thank you.